How's everybody doing? What you need is streaming live. You can support this stream by liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, or by also donating via PayPal. The link is in the description. I'm not going to do a slow burn on this. It's going to be quick, but still. As you can see from the title, we're talking about a true school sports interview with Stacey McKinley, who is a known trainer and coach. He's now in Florida, resides in Florida. And he was back in the days with guys like Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe. He helped to, was part of the team. Mike Tyson, I believe. Sergey Kovalev, he's been in Sergey Kovalov's camp. Those kinds of guys. And Stacey McKinley, he's an accomplished trainer or coach. A lot of people like to listen to him. And he had some really choice comments to say about Jared Anderson being the next great heavyweight boxer. And I want you to hear it. I'm not going to show you what was actually said, but I want you to hear what he had to say in True School Sports. That's with Brandon from Florida, True School Sports. So we're gonna get into it. We'll get into that interview right about now.
Every few years, there come a heavyweight that's going to dominate. I didn't talk about Big Gerald, Baby Miller, not Gerald Miller, but the other kid, what name? Jared Anderson. Jared Henderson, okay? They talking about he going to be the next American heavyweight champion, which he probably could.
He's going to say he's the next Riddick Bowe, which is kind of crazy.
No, he's not going to be the next Riddick Bowe. He's not going to be that good. I mean, Riddick Bowe lost one fight. Yeah. Riddick Bowe can fight. He just coming on at a bad time, but Riddick Bowe can fight for real. Riddick Bowe was a hell of a boxer puncher. Eddie Butcher once told me that he probably could have been the best he ever trained. Riddick Bowe retired on 28 years old.
I know, I had a very short time.
So Riddick Bowe is a hell of a fighter. Big hard, fight real good. But that kid won't be ready. First of all, he doesn't have the mindset. The fight is in the mind. The fight is right here. And his mind is, well, sometimes I feel like I'm under too much pressure. I'm really going to retire early,
I don't need a belt to be successful or something like
I
that.
don't need the belt. Now, see, you're not talking with strength. You're talking with weakness. Because you don't understand what God, the gift that God has given you. And when he's put up on you, you have to take that and make it work for you. He doesn't understand that. So he's going to misuse the gift. By misusing that gift, he's not going to be a great American heavyweight like they say. They ain't going to happen.
Okay. Now, I hear him. His commentary. Now, this guy, Stacey McKinley, he generally is very negative towards today's fighters. He's one of those old timers who always feel the old days were better than now. So he always comes from that aspect. And he tends to be also a guy who will tell you what can't happen. He's a guy that will tell you this guy's better than that. He's always, the old timer guys, he's always going to say they better. Don't get me wrong, he comes with his points. So he tends to be like that. Now, anyway, my commentary on him is going to come. But first, let's hear him say some more stuff. Shout out to True Sports TV, True Sports Media. Shout out to Brian in Florida for this clip because it's priceless. Brian has been interviewing Stacey McKinley for a while and brought him to prominence to some degree.
This ain't gonna happen. You got to have a mindset for that. You got good talent, does this, but there'll come a time in a fight. With that mindset, there will come a time in a fight. In the middle of a fight, you're gonna say, I don't need this. You're gonna quit. That's all there's to it. It's gonna quit. It's just like Guys used to come to me, Stacey, I want you to train this fighter for me. Oh, he's very intelligent, Stacey. He's a smart fighter. He's smarter than most fighters. Oh yeah, why would make him so smart? Oh, Stacey, he's working on his master's. He's working on his master's degree, and he's very intelligent. And I think he'll listen to you. I said, wait a minute. He's working on his master's degree. Yeah, then he's going for his doctor's. I said, you got no fight. You got educated. You ain't got no fight. He said, well, what you mean you don't have a fight? I said, let me tell you why you don't have a fight. When you get off into the championship fight, it's a hard fight. Let's say we fight 15 rounds. You're going into 13, 14 round. This is a fight to pick it up then. The last 3 rounds. You get off in that fight, it's hard. I mean, you can't hardly breathe. His eyes closing up. This guy's getting stronger. And I said, you know what he's gonna do? I said, what he gonna do? He's gonna tell himself, man, I got a master's degree. I don't need this. Right. I said, he gonna quit. I said, now, take the other guy over there. He ain't got nothing. Family need to be fed. Got mortgage payment, car payment behind.
Credit's all messed up.
Credit all messed up. He can't quit. He got to go out on his back if he go out. He got to fight, brother. I said, do you see the difference? It's in the mind. Right. I said, so take him on back where it come from. He started laughing, but it's true.
So you're saying, like I said, Jared Anderson's the same scenario we're playing.
All right, let's stop right there. So, this is what I got to say about this. One, Stacey McKinley says Jared Anderson is not going to be the next great American heavyweight. First, he starts off by saying this caveat. He may become the greatest. He may become a great American heavyweight. He says that in the beginning. Then he turns around and says he won't be that because of his mindset. All right. Let's address that first. Andre Ward, one of the greatest boxers of all time. Before he turned pro, after his father died, Andre Ward completely departed from boxing. Started selling dope and all that in the streets. We learned about that in his autobiography in his book. Floyd Mayweather, early in his life, early again, lost his way, turned to the streets for a brief moment in time, but by the grace of God, went back to boxing. A fighter questioning himself, even if he's in the pros now, is not nothing new. Jared Anderson people have put on Jared Anderson a lot. He has to live up to a lot. And that pressure, sometimes the fighter can't take that pressure. We saw Ryan Garcia talking about mental health because of the pressure put upon him. Sometimes he can't live up to it. Some people in the amateurs, there are a lot. Okay, let me say this first about boxing. There are a lot of fighters out there who are better skilled, who bring to the table a lot more than the boxers today. Even the greatest boxer, or what y'all call the greatest boxers, like Floyd Mayweather or whoever, Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, there are better boxers than them that could have made it to where they were had they been mentally tough. A lot of these kinds of fighters come from the streets. We know they're poor. A lot of them bring a lot to the table, but a lot of stuff outside of boxing is what either cost them their lives, all right, or mentally they got put under pressure and they caved. And they never became the boxers that they were supposed to be. Gervonta Tank Davis will tell you there were more talented, more skilled, more God-gifted boxers in his gym than himself. He happened to be the baby around the group. But the only one who made it out alive out of all those boxes was him. The streets ate up the rest of the boxes. Follow me now. Jared Anderson comes from the streets. He doesn't come from money. His mama helped push him through to where he is today. Okay? But he comes from the streets. He's a street hood. He's a street kid. There is no turning back for him. Just like there's no turning back for Floyd. There was no turning back for Andre Ward. Andre Ward almost lost out. He ended up going and qualifying for the Olympics in that same year. The year the Olympics came around, he came back to it. He caught himself by that point in time. You got to understand, there's going to come these critical points in boxers' lives when this happens. Sean Porter started questioning himself after fighting Andre Berto. Do I really want to stay in this sport? Went on to give Errol Spence a hell of a fight. Okay? There are times in your career when you will question yourself. You will question why you are here. Now, if you continue, now, to Stacey's point, he says if he continues with that mindset. Okay, so he did put a caveat in there, if he continues with that mindset. But my point being, Jared Anderson doesn't have to stay in that mindset. There may be moments in the back of his mind where that is happening. Okay. Now, the next thing he does is he quotes an example where he speaks on a fighter. Let's say he's real smart. They say he's real smart because he got these academic degrees. Now, first of all, clear disclaimer, academic degrees don't make you smart. There are lots of people walking around with PhDs, MAs, masters. I used to be an academic as well. And I'm going to tell you this. All academic degrees say is you study this course on this particular topic. You have a certain degree of knowledge. Whether you apply it or not, whether you get a job from it or not, whether you learn to critically think from it or not, whether you learn for skills like boxing or football or whatever. You didn't come on an athletic scholarship, right? So that'll make you smart. But anyway, let's just go with that anyway. Dude has his academic degrees or whatever. His point is this. He's saying, this guy's smart. I want you to train him. He blanketly says, I wouldn't train that dude because when things get rough and tough, he's going to look at his future in academics and he say, I can fall back on that. And he's going to go there, right? Now, I give you a perfect example of an academic and Chris Algieri, well-behaved kid who had fighters are born, they're not made. A fighter is born, he's not made. All right? There are people who tend to want to go into fighting. And how we know that? They always fighting. If a kid in the school's always in arguments, he's always in fights, he's always in a combative spirit, then he a fighter. Don't look at him as a bad child. Get him in the gym. Get him a boxing gym, Muay Thai gym, MMA gym. Get him in combat sports. Okay? So don't look at the kids as bad. Get their energy burned. It's like Rottweilers. Rottweilers are high energy dogs. Now they can go nuts and they can tear you up and stuff. But if you got them running in the fields, they run till they tired. You got them leaping and catching things and frisbees and shit. They're not going to be as tough as you think. So it's all about putting the animal or the human in his purpose, what he was born to do. There are people who are just born to fight. It is what it is. And Chris Algieri is one of those people. And they come with different temperaments. You know, some of them are, passive aggressive. Some of them are really quiet. That don't mean shit. Just because somebody's quiet don't mean that they're not a fighter. Fighters come with different temperaments, etc. So the real question is, when selecting someone, isn't about their degrees, because Chris Algieri got a master's degree in nutrition, going on his doctorate, okay? And he was a hell of a fighter. He had no quit in him. Chris Algieri has never quit in any fight, okay? And he's a great fighter. and he's now commenting. He's a smart guy, so he's ended up in the commentary team. But just because he has a degree, don't mean that he has opportunities like other people that other people don't get. Because yes, he does his food and nutrition. He does the nutrition and food for boxers, and he helps them with their nutrition. But also in addition, and he's very successful with it. But also in addition, Sean Porter has his podcast. Sean Porter is commenting all over the place. Sean Porter came from a different background. Now, Sean Porter was never a dumb person either, right? Academically, he was good as well. But Sean Porter was a guy in sports, athletics. You know what I mean? Different people come from different paths. Basically, this example that this brother is bringing, this brother right here, I can't use it. You understand what I'm saying? I can't really use it. Because what he's trying to say is when the going gets rough, and you know there's an alternative out of there, you're going to use that alternative. But they're just people who are dogs. Devin Haney's a dog. We saw the going get rough with Devin Haney, and he went straight through it. Devin Haney comes from money. Okay? He comes from a good Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley don't come from no poor family. Shane Mosley comes from a well-to-do family. Him and his dad. A fighter's a fighter's a fighter. So don't tell me with your example that, you know, he gonna quit because he feel this is not really his thing with boxing. No, you just seen the vulnerabilities of a fighter in moments when they question themselves. Mike Tyson said he's terrified when he goes to get in the ring to fight somebody. And that's okay, because when you're terrified, I mean, you prepare so much. You wonder what you didn't do. I remember being terrified before I go to do a presentation. You're supposed to, because you don't always feel like am I prepared enough? Am I ready enough? There's nothing wrong with that. And it's good to have that edge, especially in a sport where you can get hurt really bad if you lose your edge. So there's nothing wrong with that. You got to understand these are human beings. Warriors, fighters are human beings. They have other lives outside of boxing. Whether you like it or not, some of them, the turbulent lives outside of boxing. Okay? And the point behind it is, there is always, every fighter has a moment where they question themselves and why they're there. And Jared Anderson asked that question of himself. Teofimo Lopez asked him a question of himself. We're just seeing this guy, they have a poor performance, they may question themselves, maybe they don't question themselves, maybe they're delusional, and they say delusional shit, right? All fighters do it, okay? It's not such a big deal as this brother's making it out to be. But I want to say something else about this brother. And I've heard people talk about Bernard Hopkins. This brother is not so prominent today. His True Smooth Sports kind of gets him out there. People used to listen to him a lot. As a black coach, speaking about black superstars, I would hope that this coach, instead of opening his mouth and just saying any old thing, because you're a coach in the business, and downplaying a young fighter and saying he ain't got no hope and he ain't this and he ain't that and telling us what he isn't and what he won't be, instead of telling us that, why don't you pick up the phone or you reach out to the youngster? And why don't you impart some of your knowledge to him? Otherwise, why are you speaking on somebody you know you're not giving no encouragement? You're not saying nothing. You're just drawing attention to yourself. Is that what the business is about? Okay, you was able to assess the situation. Whoopie dang. You didn't even reach out or lend a hand. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing that. And that's one thing about this coach. I'm putting him on blast. Stacey McKinley, that I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate old school fighters or old school trainers. You know, they at the end of their careers bashing the next. That don't help the sport of boxing. I don't have a problem with you being critical of a fighter, but I don't like when you don't have no suggestions about how this fighter can come out of their situation. So you present it as a hopeless situation, as if this fighter can't change. If this fighter ain't going through a time. You don't know what Jared Anderson is going through. You don't know. So why not find out first and try to contact the homie or send something across the airwaves in a positive way to help the youngster? I always feel we as the older generation, speaking to the next generation, we impart as much information as we can. Maybe we're wrong about things, maybe we're right about things, but we impart information. Don't go on, and you know these old school people feel, oh well, I tried to warn him right there. That's what I was really trying to do. I was trying to warn him. No, motherfucker, you ain't trying to warn nobody. You look like a sour puss. That your time is gone, and you angry that you no longer in the limelight. That's what you look like. Again, the sport of boxing. The sport of boxing. And you know what you need, gonna say what you got to say. By the way, if you want to smash that like button, it's right in the corner. There's 3 dots in the corner of the thing. YouTube has its own change up of algorithms. I know some people want to smash the like button. I get it. And I know my videos go around because there's not much boxing channels out here. So people gonna pick up what I say. Rethalable Magwaza said, what happened, dog? Nothing, dog. Not one damn thing. I'm talking about old school trainers bashing new school fighters. That's what I'm talking about. And y'all know I'm making a very good point. Because I'm supposedly now of the old school. I'm one of those old school people. I'm an old school fan. Okay, because I'm 50 years old. All right. So I have the right sometimes to put in check old school trainers who they got nothing good to say about the new generation. Not one damn thing. I'm tired of that. That don't help the sport of boxing. You no longer in the ring, you know, or you might be. You're no longer in the ring though with those great heavyweights anymore. They're gone. That time has passed. So why don't you impart something positive to the younger generation if you know they're going in a different direction? Why don't you contribute to help them in the direction they're going? That's what I don't understand about some of these people. Okay? Bernard Hopkins does it as well. He look a tear a fighter down, and he would talk about certain fighters who he talks good about. And sometimes begrudgingly he say something good about a fighter. Look, I'm not saying everything has to be rosemary and grays. I'm not saying kumbaya on the mountain. I'm just saying keep it balanced with your criticisms of people. And if you're going to criticize somebody, at least suggest something that they can do that would make them better, even if it's some hilarious, ludicrous, unrealistic thing. Because we are quick to point out the flaws of people. We're quick to point out the negatives. But we're real slow when it comes to trying to change the situation around and bring a positive situation out of a negative. And I'm tired of it. And in sports, which is supposed to motivate, it's supposed to inspire people. Of all the sports, boxing, I know it's confrontational, I understand. We need growth. We need people in the sport, particularly people in the business, to try to encourage one another. When Rolly Romero lost to Pitbull Cruz, Rethalable Magwaza says, share knowledge or reach out to his people. Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, it's hard enough. It's a hard enough sport as it is to be doing it. To hear your own people in the business trying to tear you down because you up in the spotlight. I think it's just wrong. You know? Now, I'm not saying that Jared Anderson will be the next great heavyweight champion of the world or the next great heavyweight. We have to wait and see. There are a lot of great heavyweights in his era, but he's coming along pretty good. Okay? And I'm going to say this. The more encouragement and the more encouraging we can be to each other. I'm not saying we can't be critical of each other. I'm not saying the brother on here, Stacey McKinley, I'm not saying he couldn't be critical of Jared Anderson, identify certain things. Okay? I'm not saying he shouldn't do that.
Sure is. What he telling you now? What do you want to do? When it get hard, he gonna say, help y'all.
It's the pressure though. I'm only 23.
Look, Stacey McKinley talking about, Jared Anderson gonna quit and all this stuff. Look, I'm not saying that Jared Anderson is the be all and end all of all boxing. I'm not saying he's not overhyped sometimes. My point though is this: he a young gun. The old dogs supposed to guide the young dogs forward, because the old dogs done already run the course a number of times. Now, whether the young guns want to listen, it's a totally different story. Okay? But the old guns always got a contribution they can give to the young guns. And so, Stacey McKinley has a lot to offer. All right? He has a lot to offer. Clearly, he does. I'm not knocking him as a coach. He got a lot of knowledge. What I'm knocking is the way how he's treating these younger fighters. His attitude towards them. He talks about attitude, but he also got a bad attitude. I'm sorry, man. I just got to say it. Retaliable Maguire says Jared's still learning and needs all the help because he's got a lot of potential and passes the eye test for where he's at currently. Yes, sir. I agree. And this is a different era to times past, which we must always understand and differentiate. Okay? So, I'm not saying that Stacey McKinley's assessment of the situation is absolutely incontrovertibly inaccurate. I'm not saying that at all. Not at all. What I'm saying is, how can Stacey McKinley contribute to that situation to get a positive result out of it? That's what I'm saying. I know the HBO days, Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant used to tear down fighters. Tear them down. I know about that. And Stacey McKinley, he's adopting that standard. I saw Timothy Bradley doing the same. Andre Ward doing the same. Yes, you can be critical of fighters, but you need to be somebody that while you're critical of them, that you got your caveats in there. You're not just going to be critical of somebody and leave it right there and have a pessimistic outcome. And I'm not saying you have to be always positive. I'm just saying you need to recommend other things. You have to give alternatives. You have to delve deeper sometimes, because sometimes you have to lend a hand. You got to reach out to fighters. Fighters done already the training and everything, the whole grueling routine, the training. It's long, it's grueling, and you have to stay motivated. All right, Teofimo Lopez. You look, Floyd Mayweather never, when a fighter's down, you don't see Floyd Mayweather bashing that fighter. He's always encouraging that fighter. He knows you're going to be in the fire. He knows what it is to be in the fire. Okay? When you look at what Devin Haney said about Rolly Romero, he did not bash Rolly Romero. I saw Rolly recently, and he was showing off his new Bentley or his new Rolls Royce. Shout out to Rolly. Making that money, boy. You make that paper, baby. And keep on boxing. Keep on boxing. And refining your craft. You're gonna find that perfect balance. And Rolly got a lot of good fights and still left in there. Ryan got that Rolly fight. Ryan versus Rolly. That's gonna be a good fight. That's a good fight right there. That's been brewing for a long time. They need to make that fight happen. And my point is, yes, we don't like the ducking. We don't like the defensive ducking in boxing as fans. We don't like a boxer who talks and can't back up what they say. We don't like that, okay? But at the end of the day, we as fans come down too hard on fighters who take a loss. I mean, Rolly Romero's only had 2 losses in his entire career so far. He's got a lot of fights ahead of him if he chooses to continue his career. He's got a lot of big fights ahead of him as well. Okay? Because he overaccomplished already. You know what I mean? George Kambosos. Look how many big fights George Kambosos got after his win against Teal. George Kambosos, 2 big fights he's going to have. Well, 3 big fights. He got Teal, he's getting Devin Haney, now he's getting Vasily Lomachenko. Why is Kambosos doing that, even though he got the 2 losses on his record? Because he understands A fighter's a fighter, and styles make fights. A fighter's a fighter, and styles make fights. And besides style make fights, there's a heart and all of that other ingredients that involve the intangibles and all of that. Game plan and all of that. All right? So George Kambosos, y'all counting out George Kambosos. You shouldn't count out George Kambosos. You look at hard workers like Arnold Barbosa, George Kambosos. They hard workers, man. Nothing was given to them. They earned their keep. And they went to lengths to get what they have to get. My point being, we as fans are sometimes just like Stacey McKinley. We preach gloom and doom on a fighter when their career is nowhere near over. We're preaching gloom and doom on Errol Spence. Errol Spence looked fine. He looked fine. The fact that he challenged Fundora tells us he's ready to fight. Retaliable Magwaza says B-Hop's another one that should do better instead of acting like a hater. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And y'all call him a hater. I don't necessarily call him a hater, but it's like, what are you doing to progress the sport forward? How are you helping the fighters? You are now an elder. They look to you to inspire them, to keep them going. I'm not saying you can't be critical. I'm not saying you can't speak seriously. Now, Andrew Ward's another guy that I kind of respect, because Andrew Ward is very careful how he chooses his words, because he's looking to inspire. He'll be very critical of a fighter, but he's going to say things so the fighter can understand there are options and ways to change that. And he will say, you need to nab this in the bud. All right. Look at Richardson Hitchens, right? Retaliable Mike Weiser says hard work beats lazy talent any day. I agree 100%. You know, Richardson Hitchens, he had a pretty bad performance, but it was an action-packed fight against Gustavo Lemos, right? But it's one thing to go in on Richardson Hitchens and say, oh, he's not that good, blah, 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 like the fans are doing. Yeah, he's not what he hyped himself up to be. Okay. But what can Richardson Hitchens do to be better? Right? One, he has seen now a pressure fighter who just bringing the heat for 12 rounds. So he's got that experience under his belt. He got the experience of an kind of unorthodox, you know, very skilled but yet not sharp and skilled fighter coming at him. That's a look at Subriel Mateus in some degrees, because it's a pressure fighter who he can box you in. He can cut off the ring if you don't know what you're doing. If he got you on the back foot and he's the one controlling the fight, all of a sudden you playing into his game, and all of a sudden you getting hit with shots you shouldn't get hit with. You know what I mean? So Richardson Hitchens, he got that experience. So that's a precursor to a Subriel Mateus fight. So, and you know, Richardson is talking about probably another fight before Subriel Mateus. Mickey Bay was saying he probably should jump right in there with Subriel Mateus, because he gonna find out that certain things that Lemos brought to the table, Mateus don't bring to the table. And so he might have actually an easier time with Mateus, having gone through this tough fight and this rough fight with Lemos. And I truly believe the same thing. I think Richardson Hitchens has what it takes to beat Subriel Mateus. I just think that, you know, Lemos was able to prepare him for that, because they're gonna go back to the drawing board, make some adjustments, and they'll be ready for Mateus. Hitchens say he want one more fight to test out, I guess, the adjustments, probably against another pressure fighter if he could get one, and then he goes into the fight with Subriel Mateus. And I gotta say, Retaliable Maguire says, yeah, Richardson Hitchens had a rough night, and I hope he learned from that. I think he learned from it, of course. All that's experience, of course. He's a smart fighter and everything. So I know he's going to learn from it. But the thing that I'm trying to say to people is this. And by the way, you can donate via PayPal. The link is in the description. That I'm just saying. Richardson Hitchens, you know, he's a smart fighter, and he has a good trainer in Lenny. Coach Lenny said some things, though, that I know Coach Lenny was lying. You know, he didn't. I'm sure he didn't think that Richardson Hitchens got a B+. But he's just being a little bit more optimistic. I think Richardson Hitchens had a C+ performance. He was supposed to, you know, step around Lemos at certain points in time. He did not. He allowed Lemos to box him in because he respected and went straight back, respecting Lemos's aggression. And Lemos started that. It's almost like a feint. He started off very aggressive, and that pushed Richardson Hitchens back. And Richardson Hitchens never stood his ground and tried to counter him until much later on in the fight. and you have to be able to know what to do when. It's just what it is. I mean, the coach can give you a general guideline. It can give you a game plan, but it's up to you to actually make the decisions in the moment. A trainer can only do so much for you.
Muhammad Ali was world champion at 22 years. Floyd Nelson, Mike Tyson, world champion at 20.
So my boy, he's talking about other great fighters and that they were champion at a certain age, 22, 23, and saying that, Jared Anderson saying that he's only 23 years old is an excuse. But when you look at it, Jared Anderson right now in his progress, he's not ready for a championship fight yet. And whether you like it or not, the champions that Jared Anderson have to deal with are much bigger than him. They're way bigger than him. Okay, you're talking about Anthony Joshua was a world champion. You know 6'6". You got Tyson Fury 6'9". You got Alexander Usyk who's 6'4". These are big guys. Okay, and it's a different era. It's a different division. And Jared Anderson is very skilled. There's the Cuban fighter who's very skilled. Usyk's very skilled. You have a bunch of very skilled fighters. But again, you have to understand, even though he's very skilled, and he will probably give all these fighters a lot of problems, including Tyson Fury, you gotta understand that he's not a contender yet. All right, he's a prospect. Again, boxing today is different than boxing of yesteryear. They move you along differently. And, for this brother to say, to look at him because he's 23 years of age, which is very young, by the way, for a heavyweight champion. Extremely young. Mike Tyson became world champion at the age of 20, but that's not an everyday thing. And that don't make you a great fighter that you become world champion earlier or later, right? Mike Tyson was a great fighter, but he fizzled out before he was 30. Muhammad Ali, was an exception to the rule. Muhammad Ali, was a champion at a very young age, and then he, had to stay out of boxing for 3 years, and he came back and he did his thing. Really, what makes somebody a great champion is how long they can stay champion. It's the duration. Once you become champion, what happens after that? So it's not like Jared Anderson, when he says he's only 23, besides that, he's still a prospect. He's not a contender yet. He's getting into contender status, but he's not a contender yet. He's not a top 10 heavyweight like that. He probably is in the top 10 actually. So people are being unfair to the kid, man. And to hear this guy Stacey McKinley, try to say that that's not a reason, bro. It's like we talking about different times. 1, 2. We talking about this guy's still developing as a fighter. It's these things that, sometimes, have me think, well, why is the old school trainer, trying to dog the young guy? I mean, how are you going to address this issue? That's what I'm saying. How are you going to address the young guy's issue? This is my point all the way around, So I thought I would share this video with you guys. I want to hear your comments on this. There's several other things I want to cover in boxing, but I will do that in another stream. You guys look out for the other streams. Again, if you guys wish, you can donate. Again, donations is donations. It's not mandatory. You don't have to pay me. You know what I'm saying? So those people who saying, oh, well, your channel, your what's the word? Your whatever, soliciting or some bullshit like that. I'm like, no, motherfucker. YouTube's like that. You can donate whatever you want to donate. When we see Blue Blood Sports TV doing it, we see the Boxing Boys doing it. If you're a stupid ass motherfucker, well, so be it. But you can donate, all right? And so I give you my link. People have cash apps. They do all kinds of things. It's not soliciting, you dumbass. It's not soliciting. This is legal. And YouTube actually puts things in place for it to happen. It's just that in my country, I don't get paid by YouTube, and I can't get any other monies but through this. And people actually donate to me. One person donated to me last month, and I'm very thankful. I don't know who the person is. I wish I could locate them, but they kind of used an alias, so I couldn't find them. The other 2 people also donated. Now, when people donate to your channel, it means they appreciate the content that you're bringing and they listen to your channel very often. That's all it means. So for the haters out there that being on trollers who come out here and say stupid shit on my channel, keep hating, man. Just know one thing. What you need gonna be here for a long time. All right? What you need is gonna be here for a long time. Because with the content that what you need brings, he makes sure he brings content on topics that you're not hearing other people talking about. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I'm what you need. Peace.